with the different alternatives to arrive at a mutually agreeable solution. Why is there a need to negotiate? Because negotiation prevents escalation. It de-escalates any potential conflict situation with the help of dialogue, maximizes value, it promotes mutual benefits by giving and taking relationship to both parties, it improves communication. The negotiation process starts with the preparation with appropriate settings by deciding the time and venue of meeting between the two parties and then opening with the stance of both the parties so that both parties may know the stance and the viewpoints of the other party on which they have to deliberate and negotiate further. Whenever there is an agreement, it will be followed by its implementation and documentation. Preparation is when and where a meeting will take place, who will attend, setting a time scale, identifying the conflict or disagreement that has to be discussed, and defining the best alternative to a negotiated agreement. There is a baseline, there is a borderline for everything. So if that baseline is hit, one may lead the negotiation, one may not proceed with the negotiation. So one has to decide that what is the best alternative for a negotiation. Whenever you open a negotiation, you present your opening dialogue, you present your opening position and your understanding of the matter that is causing the conflict in a non-confrontational and collaborative manner. You explain and justify your initial stance and demands and their underlying logics and reasons. It requires active listening and questioning from both the parties so a better understanding and an agreement may be reached. Whenever an agreement is reached or a consensus is reached, it has to be implemented in a true letter and spirit that has to be decided by both the parties. I'll show you some examples, 3 examples of negotiations or conflict resolution, you can say, in the clinical setting. So the first example is the conflict of clinical duty roster. The registrar of ward has displayed the roster of the month, and some of the residents or some of the doctors have observations or objections on their duties, on the number of their duties or the hours of their duties. So how to go about it? Identify the conflict. There might be uneven duties among the doctors or some personal constraints of coming and attending some night duties or evening duties or long duties of 24 to 48 hours. What you do is to gather the information, the level and the number of staff that is available for the workload, and meet privately with each one who has the complaint of duty roster. Whenever you open a negotiation in this situation, you clarify each party's needs and demands. As a registrar, you have to keep the ward running daily with the doctor present in the ward. So you have to tell this to the residents or the doctors who are complaining about the clinical duty roster as well. So it will be a give and take situation. Mutually acceptable options are swapping duties and redistributing the workload. There is another example of research collaboration conflict. 2 ophthalmology departments want to collaborate on a new glaucoma study but disagree on workload distribution and authorship. So the conflict here is authorship distribution and the workload distribution, or the settings of data collection or the manuscript writing, research writing, or access to the patient. In this case, you can use published guidelines if they are available for authorship or research and ensure fair distribution of recruitment, data collection, and writing tasks. You can draft a collaboration MOU outlining the roles of each individual or department. The third example is resident surgical case allocation conflict. A resident wants more cataract cases, but the case volume is limited. So, what do? You identify the conflict again. Here, the conflict is uneven case distribution, the time constraints, or fairness among residents, because there is a limited number of cases from whom they will be allocated to the residents. You can provide objective skill assessment by scoring their competencies and giving them a constructive feedback to reflect upon. You can offer them better time to increase readiness, negotiated case distribution based on their competence. You can ask them to assist the senior surgeons or the consultants more if they want more cases independently. Every negotiation is not successful. Some negotiations may lead to a blind end or a dead end and failure to agree. In this scenario, rescheduling a further meeting may be discussed and it should be considered. Involving a third party or another person in between to mediate is also a good option. The point here is to finish the standoff that leads to the failure of negotiation. There are many different models. Some of the common models are win-win negotiations. It is a competitive model in which one party wins and the other party does not get so much out of the negotiating process. Win-lose situation is both parties give and take and reach an agreement on which both they collaboratively work on. And the third part is disagreement. Disagreement is similar to failure to agree. Top negotiation skills are problem analysis, emotional control, decision-making ability, and interpersonal skills. Any questions? Any questions? So I welcome Professor Mia Shafiq sir. Please have a seat.
Are you everyone?
I invite Ms. Helena Philip for her talk.
Most of it privilege and honor to be with you. I am very thankful and about the organization of the Ophthalmological Pakistan Society who have invited me and having me involved as well. I thank especially the Professor Mohammed Moin the invitation and all the organization. And thank you so much also for being here. My name is Helena Flynn. I think I am a little bit more the outsider here, so thank you again for having me. I practice in Lisbon, in Portugal, and I have been collaborating since the International Council of Ophthalmology, and right now with the Ophthalmology Foundation. Those who would be interested in how to approach the Ophthalmology Foundation, please, we can speak later after the presentation about how to do it and the opportunities that we can find in the Ophthalmology Foundation. So this is something that we have been developing within the Ophthalmology Foundation. I'm going to speak about leadership. Leadership has many interpretations, has several definitions. As you can see, I like this definition because I find here the word process. So it means that leadership is not something that is static, it's not a position, it's not a title, it's not an accomplishment of one person. It's a process, it's something that is ongoing, something that will be ongoing on the account of others around to grow and thrive. It's about facilitating. This is the second word I like very much in this definition. It's about facilitating individual, and again, I like very much the collective effort. So it is about not one person work, but the team or the community where this person is working. with shared objectives. So it's not about something that I want, something that I wish to do, but something that we as a team, we as a service, as a department, as a hospital, as a clinic, as a region, looking at eye care health systems, for instance, must do and should progress to. So leadership matters. It matters because when we are in shifting landscapes, probably shifting landscapes have been encountered by all through history till now, but we are living right now, and we can feel that everything is changing. And how can we tackle these emergent change challenges that we find ourselves to up and against in our day-to-day practice? Aging population, comorbidities, chronic diseases, commuting and professionals going from working in different places, global equity gaps, climate impact on eye health. So leadership matters. We can do something. We can be part of the solutions. Leaders prepare organizations for change. How? By motivating people, by motivating the team, and setting or facilitating direction, not imposing, but facilitating, negotiating, and achieving a platform of agreement with the team so that everyone can feel rowing towards the same goal. Organizations offering leadership development programs have been shown to prepare for superior organizational and operational performance. So the idea that someone is leader because has charisma, it's something that still is engraved in our minds. It's important to have charisma, but not charisma by itself, but something that we have built with our team to be awarded to have this characteristic. It's not a set of attributes or traits. It's something that we also can learn, we can develop as we are doing right now. I'm learning from you. You hopefully will also learn for at least one cent that I can say here. And then for operational performance. So the purpose is to create a leadership culture. Leadership culture is a culture where there is not only one leader. It's a leadership culture. It's a culture where everyone knows exactly or approximately as best as possible the role and responsibility and accountability one has to perform and give and offer to the team so that the team can be successful with the endeavor that the team is doing. So we can have a role in several circles. We can begin from everyone can be a leader and should be a leader in this sense of accountability, of responsibility. At the micro level, at our individual practice, at our appointments in the afternoon, we have leadership roles that can be offered to ourselves, and we have to decide. We are constantly deciding, constantly interacting with others, and we can be leaders and should be leaders at that point. Meso, at the hospital practice, by our actions, the team actions will also influence the brand, the culture of the hospital, of the clinic, and later on the bigger circle at the macro level, at the healthcare system level. So great clinical outputs are a combination of clinical but also leadership competence. So we should develop roles, competencies beyond medical expertise, and these roles and competencies are already hopefully in the frameworks of competency-based medical education beside medical expertise, collaboration, professionalism, advocacy, scholarship, etc. So these are also roles and competencies that are asked by ourselves or from ourselves. Something that probably, if we go back to the oath of Hippocrates, we can find them there. But sometimes, and usually in the hustle and bustle of our work, we sometimes, and the shifts that we talked about, the changing landscapes that we talked about, sometimes these roles are completely overturned by medical expertise. We are not technicians, we are doctors, we are ophthalmologists, more than technicians, than technicians. We should develop an adaptive, inclusive, distributed, and compassionate leadership mindset for quality improvement and patient safety. And we will be run these along the following slides and how we can find ourselves doing and performing these roles. And also develop self-assessment skills and metacognition expertise to build teams that can be able to learn, respond, and work together. This is the first example, the first perspective of leadership. Self-leadership is very important. And the example here is when we are doing surgery. When we are doing clinical work, it's the same. But at the surgical place, at the OR, when we are being surgeons, this is so acute, this can be felt so experiential, so to speak. Self-leadership is the foundation for resilience, for self-regulation, and to act role modeling excellence. The surgeon is a leader who is responsible, is the ultimate responsible for everything, for the team that is at the OR. Has to be taking care and paying attention what is happening around, but he or she will be the ultimate responsible for that. Also for creating an environment. We change teams in the OR several times, and teams are different. But when we are there, that is our team. And this team with these people, this group of people, is our responsibility. And we are responsible for creating this environment of interdependency, of working together like a puzzle to make a beautiful picture in the end, for the benefit ultimately of the patient. Then inclusive leadership. And inclusive leadership is very important for creating this sense of well-being, psychological safety, again of the team, again of the hospital, the clinic, the whole environment. We can take it to the macro level as well. This was something that emerged very acutely during the COVID. And we know that, again, those shifting and moving landscapes that we experience can sometimes forget about the well-being and the fulfillment of the professionals with their profession itself. So we are so focused, administrators, the government, the policymakers, everyone, the public, patients are so concerned about that sometimes we forget of ourselves, of the professions, the teams, and this is very important. Again, for the ultimate benefit of the patients. So foster a culture of openness by setting clear norms, accommodate diverse views, hear the others. We are all different, and we come with different ideas to the table, and then we have to negotiate and find some agreement platform, consensus for the best. Role model equitable processes. Distributed leadership is about collaboration, about shared relationships, about shared responsibilities, about decentralizing decision making. Something that we sometimes say is delegating by building trustful relationships within the team where we work with. Of course, we can expand our circles, but it's ourselves, it's our team, and teams can be different as we have seen at the OR and the clinic, but when we are there, that is our team. So we are responsible for them. Let empower team members to engage and also bring their different expertise to the table. Young people, for instance, young colleagues are very knowledgeable, very quick with technology. Seasoned leaders can be quicker with experience of what is written in the books or the best references, just updated references, because they have the experience of what had happened in the past, and they can also impart that experience. It's very important. This is very important, for instance, when we are thinking about quality improvement collaboratives. And integrated care, we are thinking about workflows, theater lists, triage. So have this sense of distributed leadership, adaptive leadership. Adaptive leadership is very important when there's a change of culture, of behavior at stake. When we need to implement a new practice, guidelines, improving trainee feedback culture, or shifting patient communication norms. When there's something that is behavioral and a change of culture, this is very important to mobilize the group, the team, to handle difficult, challenging tasks and thrive. So it's not something that will be difficult, it's something that will be difficult but will lead us to a better place. We will be stronger, we will be strengthened as professionals, individuals, but also our team. And by the individual, the team, and the team, the individual will grow together. And hold this environment for this collective adaptation by embracing vulnerability and uncertainty and build trust and constructive relationships. And almost finishing, an idea for the compassionate leadership that has been shown as well by evidence that will reflect in better outcomes. It's not enough attending, understanding, empathizing is important, but helping is the fourth behavior that sets apart what is empathy to compassion. It's not just listening. Being an active listener is important, but at a certain point, you have to do something to help. And finally, having this kind of meta view of systems thinking, because ophthalmic outcomes are the product, and we have been saying this all along this talk, it's the outcome of an interdependence of several factors: healthcare systems, patients' referral pathways, the theater flow, the supply chains, the trainee supervision, digital records, culture of a specific clinic or hospital. All this is important for what we obtain indeed afterwards. So it's not the work of one person, it's the work and leverage of expertise of the team, but the whole hospital, the whole clinic, the whole system will reflect the outcomes by these outcomes that we are producing in these complex and increasingly, I would say, complex systems that are the healthcare systems. Having this in mind, we'll explain, it's like reasoning going by the root. Something is wrong in this, for instance, in what's happening for our trainees. They are not receiving the constructive and timely feedback that we would like. What is happening? What is the problem here? It's not the problem, might not be the problem of the faculty. It might be something that is a little bit behind, something that is going not so well and can be tackled by that way. So the systems thinking leader is the one who understands complex interdependencies and sees patterns in the relationships of all, not only people, the different professions involved, nurses, technicians, faculty, but also other specialties as well, not only ophthalmology, and also those who know the root of the problem that is on the table to be solved. And optimizes patient care through this holistic view. So this is a summary of what I have been saying, with possibilities to apply these mindsets of these types of leadership, not only on ophthalmology practice, but also in medical education. And I'm always biased because I always have medical education included. And if we hold these in our minds, when we have something it will come almost like something. When we start, just learning to ride a bicycle, we have to be paying attention to everything. And in the end, when we are competent, fully competent, we just forget about our balance, we forget about it's kind of natural, and this will become natural as well. And we can encapsulate all this or having all these perspectives of leadership that we can apply in practice, ophthalmology or medical education, we can have all these interdependent among themselves and apply them in specific situations by having this vision. I would say meta vision, health systems thinking for quality improvement, patient safety, teamwork, and resource management. And I will conclude with this idea that is something that we studied. It's the several interpretations that we can find in literature and in our own professional examples and experiences of leadership. And this something very interesting to me. It can be compared to the abominable snowman whose footprints are everywhere, but who is nowhere to be seen. It's so seamless. It's so natural that is there something that is so important, so big, so beautiful as the abominable in the film, but we cannot see it because it's within the system, and all of us work together to get this environment. Thank you so much for hearing me. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am, for your insight. I welcome Professor Hamid Mahmood Barsama, who is the co-chair for this session. So with your permission, I'll invite the next speaker, Abdul Hanan Pasha, will talk about art of influence.
Assalamu alaikum everyone, my name is Dr. Abdul Hanan and we are fellow working in Islamabad, the capital city, and I have been fortunate to have gone through two of the leadership development programs as said by Helena. It has done me wonders, it has groomed me into a better ophthalmologist. I was a leader by sheer, gift of nature, but it was not enough. You need to be groomed by looked up to people who are the real examples. Then they set you on the right path, and then your influence on the people gets mature with the passage of time. So this brings me to my topic of today, the art of influence. Art of influence used to be personally by me taken up as a very casual topic. Some people, their classrooms are full. They don't need to go out and ask for people to come and listen to their talk. There are certain people who have to beg other people to come, please listen to their talks, and the attendance falls short very soon after. So the difference I used to think is purely natural, and maybe he's gifted, the other guy is not gifted, but there's more science to it, there's more things that can be scaled up and scaled down upon personal development. The art of influence is basically the ability to shape other people's opinion by not putting a force on them, by sheer manner of speech, manner of emotional development, being there for them, showing them a good example. There are a certain set of rules to the thing. So we will be discussing those rules today. My presentation would be covering the psychology and the science behind this influence, which used to be an unscalable process before for me, but now it has broken down into certain things that are easily learnable, achievable, skill acquired, those kind of things. The key leadership strategies which should be achieved by every ophthalmologist if they want to create an influence over their juniors, and practical applications of influence on our field and to our patients and ultimately the healthcare system. Understanding the influence. First, foremost, we are from Pakistan. Dr. Ahmed Mahmood Barsa has worked extensively more than me. We are always juggling between two words, influence and authority. You will always meet people in your setup who want to exert their authority on you, And certain people, without even exerting their authority, won't even know who they are, but their influence speaks much, much louder than their authority. So the difference needs to be very clear. Authority is provided by the position that they hold in their institute, but influence is gained through certain set of means and measures, which goes much beyond your control of authority. The psychology of influence is reciprocity. People are more likely to follow you when they receive value. You can't expect somebody to follow you if you are talking to them in a very harsh and mean way over small things and petty things, just to satisfy your probably personal gains or personal ego satisfaction. Social proof, you have to show that your influence is working on other people and is proving result on them. Then people are more likely to follow you blindly, to say for the start, but later on the results gets them on board very easily. Consistency in what you say and what you do. Your actions should not go against what you teach others. But influence comes with a lot of ethical responsibility. I've seen people in my limited experience of ophthalmology that they earned a lot of influence and authority very early on in their careers, but they misused their authority and influence. I wouldn't expect my juniors and my trainees to run errands for me. I think this is below me and below them to do those things. This is misuse of my influence. I want them to do things that are good for their personal development. And of course for the development of team and for the patient. With a strict ethical consideration that I have to take care of myself. The goal is to create a positive outcome for the patient and for the trainee or the person you are influencing. Key elements of influence are credibility and expertise. Gaining trust through knowledge. I think this is an icebreaker. You just can't expect that you're sitting on your seat with absolutely nothing to offer on the table and you people will start assuming influence of you. You need to show that you are somebody who they can learn from, they can gain from. That is the icebreaker that people start to approach you. Then comes the emotional intelligence. Once people approach you, they expect you to solve one of their problems that is going on in their head. Probably they will have some problem in their home. Probably they won't be able to afford an exam fee. Probably they are having trouble with learning FICO or any limited amount of training program. They are probably not satisfied with their seniors or training program. That is where how you handle your and their emotional intelligence comes into play. You need to be there for them. You need to go and show them your examples, try to solve that issue for them. Then your influence will start to develop right there and right then. Communication skill is connected to the emotional intelligence. You can't expect to be very emotionally intelligent in solving people problem if you don't have that kind of communication skills with the people. I used to stammer in my school. When I was in my junior and junior high school, I was taught at a convent run by fathers and nuns. He taught me how to get rid of my stammer first, and then they start to develop my communication skill. First in closed group meetings, then in big lectures, and then finally in large group calls. Communication skill, if you are not born with it, your household doesn't support it, or your institute doesn't support it, does not mean that you cannot have it. You always have outlets where you can grow with your communication skills. Relationship building, this is all about my life. I am connected to the first year guy as if he is my friend, and I am connected to my immediate junior colleague as if he is my friend. We drink tea outside our hospital on very daily basis. As if we are solving all the problem at that tea stall more than in the hospital. This is kind of relationship I love to build, and this is all about me. The power of vision and purpose. Everybody wants to have a vision in their life. But 99% of the people at the initial stages of their career are without a vision. They crave for a vision, but they don't have it. They would love to have a guy who has a clear vision of what he wants to get in his life done at a certain age or a certain time period. They want to attach themselves to somebody else's vision so that they experience how to follow a vision easily. So if you have a vision in your life and you are clear about your long-term and short-term goals, people will come to you to learn how the process feels like. And probably with the passage of time, they will have their own goals of themselves. Aligning personal and organizational goals, this comes with a lot of time. My influence was very limited, then it started to grow in exponential rates. So my goals are changing every other day. I used to be a senior registrar at my institute. I used to have different goals. But when I became the president of Young Ophthalmology Society of Pakistan, my goals immediately blew up. So I had to constantly change my goals and objectives according to what position and what kind of influence I had on people. The strategy is how to influence. If you're not somebody who has influence and you want to learn to have one, is active listening and empathy. There is no substitute to listening. You just can't have influence over people when you want to throw your words and your knowledge and everything on them. You have to sit down with them, you have to listen to what particular tailored problem that they have, and then you need to give them tailored advice. This goes much beyond a person's ears. It goes directly to their heart. And the kind of influence you will develop with them, it will never go away from the storytelling, absolutely. All my life, all my trainees, they have learned from my mistakes. I tell them my story. When I was this young, I used to have this problem. I used to have this financial problem. This is how I came out of them. I'm giving FRC off now. All my trainees have given FRC off much before. And I have two of my very beautiful trainees who are absolutely late for our lecture. Very shameful for me at their trainings. So it's all about me teaching them my mistakes so that they would learn from my mistakes. So storytelling, absolutely beautiful. Let's solve the BS out and you directly go to the point. Leading by example, of course, this goes along with the storytelling as well and adapting to different audience. I wouldn't speak one way with all the audience. Last night I was having an online webinar with Tamil Nadu Ophthalmology Society, and everybody was saying that we have to give this kind of video presentations. So Indian presentations, mostly they have music, they have humor, they have some kind of Bollywood songs in them. So I was telling them this is not the way to go about it. When I have to present someplace, I mostly look what kind of audience wants to be there. If I'm presenting the same surgical technique in AAO or in ESCRS, I would probably skip the music out. I would put in more evidence-based data in so that the audience who want to come to know this would love my presentation. If I'm giving the same presentation in Pakistan or India or Bangladesh, my way would be way different. So know your audience. Who wants to know what and what kind of words will influence them better. Overcoming challenges, the challenges I faced in my influence-based journey were a few of these. Dealing with resistance and skepticism. If you are ready to become a leader and you expect that you won't face resistance or skepticism, especially speaking about Pakistan, then probably you should skip being a leader at all. Being a leader, especially when you are at a younger age, gives you a lot of trouble. A lot of trouble. It's not every day that you find people as good as Dr. Moin and Dr. Hamid. They are very rare finds. You have to deal with skepticism right next to your level, and then it goes a lot of way. But rest assured, you always will break through that skepticism. You just have to stay put. Handling difficult conversations. How many times have we had difficult conversations? How many times? When was the last time we had it? He is my surgical VR trainee, Dr. Salman. Brilliant surgeon, an absolutely great human being. When was the last time we had a difficult conversation?
You just avoided one.
Oh, yes. Yes. So when was the last time we had it? Yesterday night. So difficult conversations are not just related to your work. Anything which relates to your work. If he's having trouble at home, I don't want him to lose his precious training time. I would want him to come to me, ask me for help in any way, so that I tell him, get the problem solved and focus on your work. I always say this beautiful sentence, I don't know how acceptable would it be. that ophthalmology is your first wife. Your actual wife is your second wife. Managing conflicts, handling difficult conversations. Practical application is influencing, it's not just influencing your colleagues or your juniors, it's how you influence your seniors, how you manipulate them into producing, into accepting what you want to do for the rest of your life. The projects that I put up in my seniors, Dr. Wajid, Dr. Neem Krishi, Dr. Amit knows all of them, none of my projects they get rejected. None of them. It's how I influence them. So the influence is not just going descending, it's also going ascending as well. The influence also goes with the patients as well. How you talk to them, how trusted you make them feel on you, and of course your surgical results. Leading a multidisciplinary team, I always used to fear leading a team so that the fear of failure used to be in me. But once your influence goes a long way, there have been tons and tons of projects that I have conducted with a lot of others, with teams of many different people, and they are going along very well, just by creating influence which goes much beyond your authority. So, this brings me to the end of my presentation. Final thoughts. True leader inspires others to see the possibilities they would not have seen on their own. I missed on a lot of people opportunities, a person to guide me from. But that doesn't mean that I be the same. I'd rather provide people the same gap. I will fulfill the gap for them so that they fulfill the gap in some other area for other people. Thank you so much. I hope you got
Thank you, Dr. Abdul. I request Professor Hamid Mahmood to please deliver his talk on AD and complex and life in general. At times, if you repeat a topic, it becomes so boring and so non-challenging for you that you don't feel like giving that talk again. But the other flip side of the coin is, as you give the talk repeatedly, and if you modify it a little bit every time, it actually changes and it actually grows. And you grow with the talk and grow with the concept. So that is the perspective in which I am giving this talk. This is basically based on a cognitive specialist group in UK by the name of Dave Snowden. I came across this name through one of these meetings, and I just went into and studied Dave Snowden. And this Canavan word comes from Welsh, and the simple explanation is place of multiple belongings. So at the same time, you think of many things. And on a lighter note, when you open your desktop or laptop, you open many windows on it. That is what Microsoft Windows is all about, having a lot of windows. So this also is a framework in which you can exist in multiple frames of thought when you're dealing with a situation. So those frameworks would be either an ordered situation or an unordered situation. So your trainees they have to remember it so that I can ask them to repeat it for me so that we are in the loop. And there is another central dimension which is known as the domain of disorder. Now, order is something in life where you get a clear cause and effect. Then I searched on the net. There's one concept of randomness in nature. Nature is based on random numbers. Your height, your weight, and nature itself. The bell-shaped curve of statistics is all random. So that randomness actually, you have to have two dimensions in which you're dealing with either an ordered situation or unordered situation. And the framework is basically, the domains enough is there. The purpose or the goal of the framework is decision making for a leader.
And one of the most difficult things for a leader to decide when you are in a position of influence or authority or power is to make a decision. And there are many times you want to decide very quickly. There are many times you regret that why did you take that decision so fast? And there are many times you feel I need to give it a lot of thought before I decide. It's a very difficult domain. Decision making, I think, for a leader is the most difficult competence. If you ask me, one competence is decision making. And if you further break it down, this is actually, I found a slide by his name, actually, from Punavan. The simple domain is divided into clear and complicated. Maybe आप याद कर लें, वो मुश्किल नहीं है. Or the complex domain, the unordered is in complex and chaos. People have a lot of debate that is chaos complex or is complexity chaotic. That is a lot of debate in philosophical circles. लेकिन आप इतना याद, और in between there are areas where you actually don't feel confident. Where do I belong? Either ordered or unordered. But it does not, it is transitory. You either go into the ordered or you go into the unordered. Okay? So at this point in time, in clear domain, there is always a cause and effect. हर चीज की कोई ना कोई वजह clear नजर आती है हर बंदे को. Common sense. It is said common sense is not very common. And that is why we say the framework itself is known as a framework for decision making, sense making sense of the situation. And in complicated, you can have more than one cause of whatever is happening, 2 or 3 causes. In complex, you have to find out the cause. You have to figure it out. Why is it happening? And in chaotic, there is no cause and effect. It is a chaotic situation where you don't find what went wrong. I'll give you some examples and then you come up with your examples of that situation. For example, if there is an accident, it's a chaos. If there is a rent of the prostate capsule, it is chaos. If there is an earthquake, it is a chaos. If it is a flood, it is a chaos. That is the example. And in complex, you have to really figure out what went wrong. Like one fine day, we had a strike in Services Hospital. I've been handling a lot of strikes in Services Hospital for the 5 years stay that. The situation boils to a certain critical point where it actually explodes. So you have to figure it out what is happening here. The example of here is a recipe. You want to make a cake. You want to make anything. Anybody who has a recipe can actually make that thing. There could be a difference in the quality of the product, but by and large, if you have a recipe for cake, you won't make something spicy out of it. It has to be a sweet cake at the end of it. Complicated, this domain needs an expert. This domain is a generic domain. No expertise is needed. But if my air conditioner goes wrong, if my FACO machine breaks down, if my car breaks down, I need an expert to find out what is the cause of the problem. So this domain is controlled in consultation with an expert. You cannot handle this decision making without the help of an expert. And you have to find the right expert. That is another job. Now I'll shift from here to another area into each of these compartments. As I just said, आप में से कोई मेरे लिए पढ़ेगा ये? मैं सिर्फ पॉइंटर रखता हूँ, आप पढ़ नहीं खड़े हो गए.
This is simple analysis. No knowns, questions and answers exist. Clear cause and effect, repeating patterns, procedures, standards, processes, protocols, manuals, a clear enough picture.
So the strategy here is, आप पढ़े होंगे, ये पढ़ लें.
Sense, categorize, respond.
So this is it. the strategy to handle this domain, thank you, is to sense, categorize, and respond. Abhi itna yaad hai. Then we move on to the next domain. The leadership style here is bureaucratic. You tell people, छुट्टी लेनी है, इतनी छुट्टियां रह गई हैं, नहीं मिलेगी. ऑपरेशन थिएटर लिस्ट बना दी है, इतने केसेस हैं, लिखाओ जरा लिस्ट ला के. Clear cause and effect decision making. मैंने जॉब लेनी है, पब्लिक सर्विस कमीशन में जाना है, मुझे पता होना चाहिए रूल्स रेगुलेशंस क्या हैं. मैंने हायरिंग, if I have to hire somebody, I should know what is the job description. Clear policy manuals control this domain. So you have to know the relevant procedural details. अब ये पढ़ेंगे कौन मेरे लिए आपके ट्रेनी जो है पढ़े complicated domain
Known unknowns.
question
Questions and several right answers. Discoverable cause effect. Expert domain. Procedure.
standards processes
Protocols. Manuals. Alternate future.
sense
Sense. Analyze.
and respond. And what was the first one? Sense, categorize, and respond. So you have to find the right category. You have to be very alert to training that. Seniors को मैं मेरी side में है वो सारे. So here you have to sense and you have to analyze what expertise is required. So you have to find the right expert opinion for the problem, and then you can handle this domain. So this is all pretty ordered. But now we go on to and the style here is managerial. The great leader is here. Makes me repeating these talks. और ये हर दफा एक टॉपिक देते हैं नेशनल और इंटरनेशनल स्पीकर्स को जो फिर दोबारा पढ़ना पड़ता है. So the managerial style is controlling this domain. और इससे पिछली domain में leadership style क्या था अगर आप सुन रहे थे? Bureaucrat. So because we are sense making, decision making को हम couple कर रहे हैं with the leadership style because this is LDP. The complex domain. आप complexity में है.
So known and unknowns and knowns. Unpredictability. No question and answers. Here in hindsight.
In hindsight.
Cause effect. Here in hindsight. Emergent patterns and many competing ideas.
So I'll go back to this. This is a multiple hypothesis situation. Thank you. मैं इसकी example last time मैं एक paper पढ़ा था. A very good example was I'm going on the canal road and I see the traffic is choked and I start thinking, and this is what hypothesis is all about. Huh? Right? Is there an accident? Is there a car broken down?
Yes.
Is a tree fallen on the roadside? And as you keep moving and getting nearer the situation, you see a ambulance standing on the side and probably somebody hit somebody. So as you move in the situation, you see patterns, and those patterns may help you in making. और फिर आप कहते हैं now I'm stuck in the traffic for the next half an hour. But then as you move, you see there's an ambulance, somebody is trying to make the way out of it, and then you finally cross, and then you see people who are actually standing and blocking people, and this is the way in the flow you see patterns. And when you're sitting on the chair, Shafiq principal भी रह चुके हैं, वो is a pro VC. When you're sitting in the chair as head of the department or any leader, you see patterns or you see things in a different perspective. When you're sitting in the chair as a leader, the person who is sitting with me will not have that perspective. Although he's sitting in my office, because when you are a leader, everybody focuses on you. All the information flows to you. And then you have to decide as a leader what is happening. What is the cause of this happening? What sort of an action do I need to take? And usually you have to take this back to the complicated find an expert, or at times you have to bring it down to the simple domain. And this is known as dynamics of these domains. These are not stationary domains. You move in these domains. Let me again, many eye surgeons, for my understanding, as I said that every time you make new understanding of the concept, I say if the prostate capsule ruptures, it is chaos. And now I try to figure out why did I rupture it in doing phaco? And is a chunk going to fall in the britches? Was it the last chunk where I could actually retrieve the situation? Do I need to close the case? Do I put in the IOL? Or do I abandon it? Do I just get out of the situation and then refer it to a vitreoretinal surgeon? There are multiple things which are happening here. But then you do a good anterior vitrectomy and then maybe you call your senior here, who's an expert, to get me out of this situation. So this is how the things actually evolve. And the last domain, the last domain, the complexity domain is again a managerial networking. All these lines, very fuzzy hai, this screen. But if I go to the next domain, so आप पढ़ेंगे मेरे लिए?
So chaotic, unknown, high turbulence, questions and answers won't exist.
Don't exist.
Don't exist.
Don't exist. No clear cause effect, true ambiguity.
Absolutely. You don't know what is going on. And the only thing that you can do here is act. Don't try to make a sense of this. You'll be doing it automatically. Let me give you an example right then. Thank you. I was principal. Call came. वाघा पे ब्लास्ट हो गया, बॉम्ब ब्लास्ट. या हमारे गंगाराम के सामने जब मैं था हेल्थ डिपार्टमेंट, you would recall there was a bomb blast in the civil lines and I was in chair. FI office.
Yeah.
I distinctly remember I was operating on a pediatric cataract, and you know when you're operating on a pediatric cataract, you switch off all the lights. The theater is pitch dark, and suddenly the theater illuminated. You get light first and sound later. So the theater suddenly illuminated, brightest of the brightest. Then I just said to my OT, why have you again switched on the lights? I mean, the thought was just coming to shout on my OT. It was so sudden, or to warn him, why did you switch on the lights? And then there was a big bang, and everything shook, the whole building and the theater and everything. And then the casualties started coming and on all the things which kept happening. ये तो एक हो गया, इसका response time. दूसरा जो इसके बाद का सुना रहा हूँ आपको, वाघा blast. I just reached the emergency. The casualties was coming in, and suddenly I started with my staff and nurses and everything, services emergency. I said, those who have open wounds in the abdomen and chest, take them to the theaters. And those who have injuries to the limbs, upper and lower, keep them here, give them first aid. And then people who are standing by my side said, this is what triage is. This is how to triage head injuries, abdomen, chest goes to the theater, ICU, back end for intensive care, and the limb injuries are taken care of. So you have to act, you have to be there first, then you have to act. And then suddenly you start making sense of the situation. What is going on? How do you handle it? So this is the fourth domain. Here you have to be an autocrat. You just have to give an order. Or that order is not random because you spend your life on it. That is because the position that you're holding, whatever, registrar, head of the department, principal, VC. You have ascended and reached that stage after years. So that act is automatic. It is built in your system. And then you start acting later on. So this is not for somebody a leader is not somebody who's sitting on the topmost chair. Leader is everybody who is having people around and he's trying to make a difference to their life. That is what leadership is. So just remember this, and the last slide. Time पे मुझे आपने बोला था, मेरा तो वो शुरू कर दिया. Clear cause and effect here, multiple causes, but you can still figure it out. Again, very loose connection because multiple hypotheses are working here and there is no cause and effects here. If you take one photograph out of the whole talk of sense making, this would be it. If it looks very heavy, just in the simple domain, categorize. Sense, categorize, respond. Sense, analyze, respond. Probe, sense, respond. And act, sense, respond. So this is and एक last में, this is my last slide. There's a clear situation, there's a complicated situation, there's a complex situation, but this chaotic, every leader has to find it. Once in a lifetime he gets here. कभी ना कभी इधर जरूर आना होता है उसने. And वो जैसे कहते हैं ना, success and failure don't exist in isolation. If you succeed, you fail also. And failure is a great teacher. Success is not a teacher. You only learn through failures. You never learn from your successes. At least I don't. And this is a very slippery slope. Once you're in chaotic, unknowable, you have to really crawl back to find a clear domain. But you have to do it because that is what try again means. Thank you very much.
I request Professor Mesh Pizza for his talk is the last of this session. So please come.
Yes, Alina, Ahmed, Moeen, and our friends sitting here become future leaders. I've been given the task, which is the one which we all can think of. The 10 habits of the highly skilled, successful people. I've been asked to run, and I'll try to run, and I don't know how much you will get out of it. No financial interest. In this talk, I will define what a habit is, who is a successful person, and list the 20 successful persons in the world. Then highlight 10 common habits of these persons, and then give examples from the life of top-ranked person in the list. This is the what is a habit? Is any action you perform regularly as part of your routine. Oxford Dictionary adds one word to it that this is especially the one that is hard to give up. Okay, a successful person is who consistently lives with purpose, achieves meaningful goals, grows every day, and maintains inner-outer balance. Achieving goals but keeping balance, and is constant in improvement. He is the successful person. These are the habit lists. I will skip this and go in detail one by one. I tried to find out the top 20 successful people of all time and asked several research engines and found in that on 20th number, I asked for only top 20. 20th number is Martin Luther King Jr. and on 19th is Nelson Mandela. But can you guess who was the number one? Prophet Muhammad. Go and research and you will find it. As I made aim in the beginning, that I'll speak of the habit and try to give you the example from the lives of the top ranker. Okay, so my each habit will be comprised of 2 slides. The first in this color, this beige color, will be primarily the common habit of all highly successful people. And the green one will show you the examples from the life of the top ranker. Okay, first habit, all successful people is to have clear goals set. Unless you know what do you want to be and where you want to reach, you can highly successful people have a clear long-term vision. They break it into achievable short-term goals, ensure that daily actions align with their goals, and avoid distraction. And we know that Prophet Muhammad has a very clear goal to deliver the final complete message of Islam, Allah to whole humanity. The second habit of successful people is a consistent daily plan. These people prepare their do list night before and set priorities and give special time slots for that and remain adapted and structured. And you know, Professor Muhammad, the top ranker of this list, the routine was his routine was a template for a balanced and purposeful life that incorporated many activities of the day. It was all organized, planned. The key principle was to structure the life around the 5 obligatory prayers and 5 sessions during the whole day were split in different pieces. I'll show you in the graph. The next habit is the lifelong learning. These people learn every day. They are very curious in reading and invest time in knowing new skills and try to adapt to new technology. This is lifelong learning. And in the life of Prophet, that we see the first revelation was read. Iqra, read. And we know how much he emphasized on the importance of seeking knowledge. I'll give you one example in his life. After the war of Badr, 70 enemies were arrested, and he declared that any one of these, if he can teach 10 of our children, release them. So much importance he gave to the knowledge, to increase the knowledge of the subordinates. I'm going fast. And the next habit of such highly skilled, successful people is strong self-discipline. These people are so much organized that they have all types of control on their selves. They have enforced discipline on their daily lives. And if I see it as an example, his routine was from praise to personal life was a consistent reflection of self-discipline. He has full control on his anger. And as he said in one of his narrations, that strong person is the one who controls themselves when angry. And you already know that how many advices he gives to a person who is angry and hot, what he should do. Restrains temptation, the man of promise and commitment. And he was considered known as man of promises and commitments, because he knew from Allah that if I do not fulfill my promise, I will be asked on the day of judgment. So Quranic was this line, "Innal ahda kana mas'oola," means that you will be asked about, have you fulfilled your promise or commitment? The next habit of successful people is effective time management. And they eliminate the low value activities and focus on the meaningful, impact driven tasks and use planner timers to make a sketch for their whole time. And if I show you the daily routine as an example, See how much concise was on his 24 hours. Not even a single second was wasted by him. And it was because of such habits in him that he influenced people so much that by the day he left this world, there were 125,000 people ready to shower their lives for him. It was not all done suddenly. It was because of strong habits. The next habit is networking, making strong relations with others. And these relations are of mutual benefit most of the time. And we see in the life of Prophet how many characteristics he had in himself that he attracted the people and with relation. I'm skipping this. This is a long list of his characteristics making this, developing good relations with others. Then is the maintaining growth mindset. You are in trouble, but still your vision is the same. You pass that trouble and then continue. It was a continuous mindset to grow. Several examples from his life. Healthy lifestyle is one very strong habit of successful people. They know the importance that the good health fuels the high performance. If you are not healthy, you cannot be a good performer. So they sleep well, they eat balanced, and they always have light or heavy exercises. See how meticulously each and every moment was lifestyle with healthy habits. Financial discipline. Successful people have lot of control on themselves. They save consistently and reduce the unnecessary expenses. But they do spend at places where it's really okay. And the last habit, 10th. I was asked for 10th habit. So I did not cross this point to find out. 10th habit is even the most important. Reflection and continuous improvement. If you do not reflect what you have done wrong, what you have done right, you cannot improve this. And this was a constant habit of the top ranker of the village. You know these words are very common in Arabic. Tafakkur, muhasba. It's nothing else but reflection. And tazkiyah nafs. It is nothing else but continuous self-improvement. And I conclude my talk saying that success is built through intentional habits practiced consistently over time. Remember, habits are consistent, done every day. And by adopting these habits, anyone can significantly elevate the productivity. And my take-home message is build good habits. Thank you very much. So close the production session.
From all the speakers and participants.
Would you, Helena, would you like to summarize this session as a chair?
It's an honor. I'm moved and grateful for how much I have learned in this session to be with you. I have learned much more than I thought, so I'm very thankful for that. We started by we could be the rest of the day speaking about what we have said. We started by negotiating, the art of negotiation, we looked at leadership through several perspectives and how important to be systems thinking leader can be and can be the difference of making teams and with repercussion to the macro level succeed the team and by that succeed as well, not only the individuals, the team, but also the whole system. We delved into syncing.
Yes.
Very, very interesting way of looking at leadership and with a lot of, it's kind of a vault of words that are enclosed in that syncing name. It's kind of a magic name, Welsh. So I learned a lot also about that. Thank you so much. Thank you. And afterwards, speaking in the art of communication, in influence, and influencing for the better, influencing to lead the group or the individual towards success, and a lot of words as well in that presentation. And then the habits, and the habits beautifully, magically married with Professor Mohan Lekker's life and inspiring way that he provides also inspiration for all those habits of successful people. We are all successful. Sometimes we are not so successful, but it makes part of exactly learning from failure forward. So we can say so. I probably missed a lot of pearls that we have touched, like butterflies here, and touching all these pearls and inspirational thoughts and concepts that I am sure I will bring home into my practice. I'm so grateful. Thank you.
Thank you so much.